Okay, so we have our last little bonus question, and I really like to be interested in your opinion since you spent some time in Buenos Aires and even a year there, of how important is it for us that are not in Buenos Aires or haven't been to Buenos Aires, like in the diaspora, to understand the cultural roots of Argentine tango?
I think it's important, and I think it's not oftentimes not emphasized enough in dance classes. Sometimes we go to a tango class and we learn a step and we do it to the music, and that's kind of the extent of it. And the first time I went to Buenos Aires, tango made a lot more sense in terms of many things. You hear tango all over the city. Taxi cab drivers are singing tangos while playing on the radio. You learn the lyrics, and you learn that they're about things like the adoquines, the cobblestone streets, and the farol, the street lamps. And then you go to Buenos Aires and you see the cobblestone streets and the street lamps, and you see the addresses, the corners. Like there's one tango, Corrientes y Esmeralda. Corrientes is a large street, and Esmeralda is another. So being there and understanding those things, and also, you know, the people have a different way of being and interacting, and also the gender roles are different. I think Buenos Aires, they never went through a women's liberation movement, but the women tend to be very feminine and very strong at the same time. So in a way, they've figured out sort of their gender identity, and through just being, I guess, and tango is kind of an extension of that gender culture as well. Not only in terms of wearing high heels and dresses necessarily, but, you know, to follow, I think, is, you know, really embodying a feminine energy, whether you're a man or a woman, and leading is sort of embodying a masculine energy. And in the Buenos Aires, that energy is very clear, and outside of Buenos Aires, it's not a good thing or a bad thing, but that energy, I think, plays itself out in tango a lot. There are also the cultures within tango, like of the cabeceo, of asking for a dance with the eyes, and to understand that comes from you know, the Italian idea of the bella figura, and everything is, what you see matters a lot, from how someone looks, how the space looks, who's dancing with whom, and how to catch the eyes of someone. If you go into a restaurant, you cabeceo the waiter, otherwise they don't come to your table. You know, when you sit and have coffee with someone, they always lean in forward. They never recline back. They never have their arms crossed, because that's also a culture of people really wanting to connect with each other. And the body language of connection is forward. And we see that in the posture in tango as well. Why are we forward with the person that we're dancing with? Is that necessary? No, it's not necessary on a mechanical level, but on a body language level, it is. And where does that come from? Well, that's a very Buenos Aires thing. People will lean in a little forward when they talk to you, even if they don't dance tango. So just kind of noticing, well, why do we do these things that we do in tango, I think makes a lot more sense when you dig into what's going on culturally in Buenos Aires. On the other hand, I think sometimes it can be taken too far, where, as I mentioned earlier, people might say, well, tango is this and tango is that, and you have to dance this way or that, otherwise it's not tango. And I think that can be taken too much to an extreme, which then stifles the art form's growth, stifles tango's growth. So the other question for me specifically, for myself, is, you know, not being Argentine, and how to navigate this Argentine world or this art form. And for me personally, having questions of sort of cultural identity crisis, I guess, you know, do you have to be Argentine to dance tango well? And what would it mean to respect the culture and the art form, but still make it something that's authentic to yourself, you know, and that's something that I've come to terms with. I am okay with the way that I dress and that I dance within tango, that I feel like is a representation of me. I remember the first couple times going to Buenos Aires and always feeling like I had to dress like other leaders dressed at the time, which was slacks and a tucked in colored shirt, which I'll wear more now. But back when I was 20, I wore baggy pants and a beret. And I remember the first two times going to Buenos Aires and not doing that. And then by the third time realizing, you know what, I'm a tourist, I'm an American, this is who I am. And I would show up at the Milongas in my beret and baggy pants. And it's almost like I got more respect from the locals for being authentic to myself rather than trying to be Argentine, which I'm not, and I never will be, and being okay with that. So it's respecting the art form and the culture, but also respecting myself and where I'm coming from and what is my tango? What is the tango of Alex based on my heritage, my upbringing, my culture, you know? And I think there's a balance. Tango allows for that. Tango allows for being authentic to yourself and still being able to respect the culture from where it originated.
Excellent. Thank you, Alex. That was great. Really appreciate you being here today. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Great, me too. Thanks for having me.